Welcome to Reddit Tea Time. I, 32 female, and my boyfriend, 31 male, have been together for a little over 2 years. We don't live together, but I stay over at his most weekends. For a few months now, it's slowly become a regular thing where he'll try to jump scare me. It started off just being while we were watching a scary film. He'd jump during a tense scene to, in turn, make me jump. Then it transitioned to him hiding behind the bed when I'd come back from the bathroom to jump out at me. For context, I'm easily scared and jump very easily. I have no idea why this even started, as we were together for almost a year and a half, 2 years before this even became a thing. I'd sometimes try to get my own back and also hide when he'd come out of the bathroom to scare him. These kinds of pranks I'd been mostly okay with. I mean, I'd rather they weren't a thing, but I just took it as him being playful, so I was trying to do the same back. I can't even remember at what point it took this turn, but he started randomly jumping up in bed when I'm trying to get to sleep. He'll jump up and pretend he heard something or saw something, or pretend something was dragging him out of bed. Again, to begin with, I laughed it off as he'd just do it once or twice and then stop, and I'd be able to fall asleep. Then he started doing it more and more each evening. He started just jumping randomly for about an hour or so after we'd go to bed in an attempt to make me jump and scare me. Well, the scaring worked, and I'd end up feeling so on edge and anxious that I then couldn't fall asleep for an hour or two after he stopped. It got to the point where I'd say to him when he kept doing this that I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable and uneasy, and I'd ask him to please stop. He'd just laugh off my requests as if I'm just joking, but he did put a stop to doing this, or so I thought. He'd stopped for a good few weeks, but as of last night, he started doing this again when I was trying to fall asleep. I kept asking him to please stop and saying I don't like when he does this, but he continued. I ended up snapping and telling him that I'm being serious and to stop. I felt so uneasy again. I was shaking and my heart was racing. He just laughed and rolled over, but he did stop. I ended up crying quietly in bed next to him because I thought this had stopped, and him doing this again for the first time after a few weeks resulted in me feeling more on edge than ever. Plus the fact that I was clearly upset when asking him for the final time to stop, yet all he did was laugh and roll over. I'm now back in my own home while typing this, and I'm considering messaging him to ask if we can seriously talk about this. So really, my question is, am I the bonehead for reacting this way to my boyfriend's playfulness, jump scare pranks? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. This isn't funny or playful. You're not having fun and you've asked him to stop. At this point, he's terrorizing you for his own enjoyment. He's showing you who he is. Believe him. Break up time. He's obsessed with doing it. Let him find another victim that will eventually leave him. Not the bonehead. Not the bonehead. This guy does not respect you and gets joy out of making you scared. That is so messed up. Not the bonehead. These pranks have now gotten so bad that you're on edge and have literally cried yourself to sleep when you're at his place. Not only that, you've begged him to please stop and that you hate that he does it all the time. A significant other that cares about and respects you would stop doing what you say you don't like, especially taking in the fact that he only started doing this after 2.5 years of relationship. Honestly, I'd be questioning if his other attributes in the relationship are worth being so nervous every time you go to his house, and knowing he doesn't respect you enough to stop when you ask. Good luck, OP. Just know you deserve better and you don't have to put up with his crap. I'm incredibly glad to read that you don't live together and you have your own home. The past 48 hours were death by 1,000 cuts. Jesus Christ. My family and I, 23 female, went to Italy this past week for a vacation. It was my parents, my 17-year-old sister, my aunt, and 27-year-old cousin. It was a mostly good time, pretty hot out, but the art was cool and I was excited about that. Our flight home was 3 connecting flights, Venice to Montreal, Montreal to Toronto, and Toronto to my home city. That's a lot. It was a 30-hour day. My aunt and cousin got on a different flight out of Venice since they both live farther apart. My parents have hated each other since I was 11. They almost got divorced when I was 13 but changed their minds and will never let me forget that staying together for the kids meant that I'm the reason they're so miserable now. They sure do love to tell me that. Anyway, our flight delays, we have to sprint through Montreal. Customs takes forever and my parents suck at technology. My dad snapped at my mom snapped back, my dad started flirting with the flight attendant and some other lady in the airport. My mom shut down and almost didn't get on the flight home. And they had been screaming, loudly at each other for everyone in the Toronto airport to hear. It was embarrassing. I've been in and out of therapy for over a decade now dealing with this BS because they won't go, and I end up being the collateral every time they fight in front of me. So every day of my entire childhood. But while we were waiting to board, my dad starts chatting up some lady in front of my mom who texts me this: "If your boyfriend treats you badly, you can break up. I have no option like that." Dad is now enjoying his second conversation with a second single woman since we left Italy and hasn't had one polite conversation with me, just demeaning ones. I have no options like you did. So I snapped and yelled at both, "Stop acting like children. This is not appropriate to do in front of me and my sister. Either go to therapy or get effing divorced. I'm tired of being your collateral every time you're at each other's throats." There's more really crappy things they said to each other that I can detail in comments if you all want. But they both laid into me for embarrassing them, as if they weren't fully doing it to themselves. I was on hour 30 of no sleep, I was hungry, and I was about to get on my third effing flight of the night. I don't live with them. I have my own place, but for the past year, anytime they do this stuff, I just up and leave. Unfortunately, not possible in an airplane. They've been laying into me for embarrassing and disrespecting them since the incident, and I don't know. Maybe they need to get embarrassed in an airport. This crap can't be normal. But maybe I'm playing victim like my mom says. I don't know. Edited to add, update. My mom called. She very much expected me to apologize for airing out our dirty laundry. I told her I was just calling them out for embarrassing me. And I told her a lot of things you guys said. That this isn't the 1950s, and seeing them hurt each other hurts me. It went nowhere, unfortunately. She went on and on about how I'm a child and should never speak to my parents this way. I reminded her I'm 23, 24 in a month, not a child. I fully support myself. She doesn't care. It's like in her mind I'm fully subject to all of her wants and needs just because she gave birth to me. Now for some comments. Tell them it's not 1950 anymore and nobody cares if they get divorced. It's no longer a stigma, and they're both not doing anybody any favors by staying together. If anything, they're driving their children into therapy. You say you have a sister. How old is she? If she's over 18, tell them it's time for the divorce that absolutely everyone wants. There are no more children to hold them back. They no longer have the children as an excuse. Also, go low to no contact until they are divorced. Their misery isn't the children's fault, and it's time they stop holding you responsible. Not the bonehead, by the way. Not the bonehead. You embarrass them? That's rich. You're correct that they should not be acting like this in front of their children, or in public generally. It's so inconsiderate. Also, I would feel so uncomfy if an obviously married man who was in a fight with his wife was trying to flirt with me at the airport, with kids right there too. What a jerk move, honestly. I feel bad for the women your dad tried to drag into that mess. Not the bonehead. I'm sorry you and your sister have to deal with that. It's really unacceptable. Your mother is the one playing the victim, texting you that BS instead of taking responsibility for her own life. Your dad sucks for obvious reasons. So me and my wife attempt to do a 50-50 split in the household. In our case, I do the laundry, trash bags, most of the cat-related tasks, litter box, food, drinking water, mostly fall on me, like 80-20. I vacuum daily during the week because the cleaner only comes on Friday and we have long-haired cats. My wife does the smaller food groceries for stuff like dinner, the cooking most of the week, grooming of the cats once or twice a week, and does yard work twice a year. Now, this 50-50 split is important to me because I don't want either of us to feel used by the other or make either feel like we're lazy. So last Saturday, we've been lazing about playing the new Legend of Zelda. We have an appointment in the evening at 6:30. I did the laundry in the meantime while my wife continued playing Zelda. I took a shower, went down and asked how late we're going to eat because we're supposed to be somewhere in 1.5 hours. I said probably best to eat at 5:30 since we're supposed to be there in about an hour. Mind you, this was an appointment at an event organized by one of her friends. She said she wanted to grab a shower as well and that we weren't going to make 5:30 and told me there's instructions on the packaging so you can do it as well. Otherwise, we're not going to make it. That didn't sit right with me because she wasn't doing anything today except playing a game, and due to her own poor planning, I was supposed to fix dinner as well. So I told her no. She told me the instructions are clear, I'm sure you can do it. I told her it's not that I can't do it, but that I don't want to do it. I did the laundry today, no problem, so the cooking is up to you as we agreed on. She told me she felt blackmailed into not showering, and I told her no, we'll just be late. We both have full-time jobs Monday through Friday, both office jobs. Am I the bonehead? Edit. Somebody advised me to add the following context in. The workload is already in her favor, which I'm fine with. I stated we attempt to do 50-50, but I do a lot more around the house. We used to alternate cleaning the house every week, but she only did it when she felt like it, so that meant not doing it for 3 weeks at times. I expressed my grievances and we ended up getting some help to clean the house once a week. Also, when she's ill or has an emergency, I pick up the slack, no problem. That's outside of her control. She has to go to the office and wants me to cook while I work from home? No problem. On your period, I'll take care of the household and her, no problem. But in this instance, it ticked me off because there was absolutely no reason for her not to do it because of laziness. And I'm already doing a lot more altogether. Edit 2. Hello everybody, I appreciate the comments. I made my wife aware of the thread and we both discussed it. A lot of toxic comments have been filtered out as they were straight up man bad, woman right or woman bad, man right comments. The takeaway is that I'll need to stop tallying a chore score. People here are absolutely right on that. I started doing it when I had the feeling I was overburdened, and when I started tracking what she did and the time it cost, it got confirmed. By never stopping this tally after first addressing it, things got unhealthy fast. We both liked the suggestion where we trade off chores if one can't do theirs, but only if one of us really feels overburdened from other chores. Despite that, we both agreed that talking to a marriage counselor on how to handle this is the best way forward, which some of you had also suggested. We've discussed our issues with household tasks with each other many times before me making this post. The final thing I'll answer is the time the household tasks take, for those that believe me, including tasks I didn't include, which lead to big discussions, so here goes. Cooking takes about 45 minutes to an hour. She cooks 5 times a week on average. Doing daily groceries is a 20-minute activity tops, but it's also not always daily, but for the sake of time spent, let's say it is. If I go out, I do ask if I should bring something, but generally she gets it herself. The weekly groceries or heavy groceries we do together, as heavy lifting is for me. I also make suggestions for dinner, and every day I get asked the question, so what's for dinner? So I do give input, but giving an idea on food is marginal input. The grooming of the cats means combing their hair. They don't have an undercoat, so their hair gets crazy fast. It takes around half an hour per week. The yard work is done so little per year because it's 90% stone with roughly 3 plants and 2 trees in the backyard, and a small front yard patch. I'd say altogether it costs roughly 4 hours a year. So the daily vacuuming takes about 20 to 30 minutes depending on how rigorous it is. All our carpets and couches hold hair like it's magic, so it's a chore. The litter box means scooping out the litter boxes 5 times a day at least for 2 cats. It takes a few minutes for cleanup, as I also need to vacuum around the litter box, although my wife vacuums the litter when she sees it. Let's say altogether around 20 minutes per day for the litter box. Both of our cats are each on a special diet with different dry and wet food with a special feeder, which takes time to clean. It's a 5-minute chore daily, so not a lot altogether. In terms of laundry, I do 4 batches which I sort, wash, hang up, and fold. Altogether, it takes about 2 hours weekly. Now for the honorable mentions I forgot. After cooking, I do the cleanup, although my wife sometimes helps. I always do the pots and pans by hand and the rest I rinse and put in the dishwasher. I'm also the one who changes linen 80% of the time, although my wife sometimes does. Also, some people seemed confused, but I actually do take care of my own breakfast and lunch. Dinner pertains to the evening meal as per definition of the word. Our finances are divided and both manage certain bills, for which we have a joint bank account. Hard to explain, but some stuff is in my name while other stuff is in hers. She does track the stock of the stuff like toilet paper and the likes for when it should be bought, but some stuff is on me for obvious reasons, like fabric softener. We don't have kids and we're also not extremely young. We're both in our mid-30s. We're also European, not American or US based. The reason my wife cooks is because when the laundry wasn't being done, I made the suggestion that I would do the laundry if she cooks. She agreed to this as she enjoyed cooking more. Now for some comments. Wow, when you say 50-50, you really mean it. No 51-49 for you, not even on some particular day. I think this is overly strict and inflexible and likely to lead to problems when you want some flex. But it's a valid way to be, and if you and your wife want to be that way, it's okay. But you've got to be aligned, and it doesn't sound like you are. This is a communication failure, so everyone sucks here, not the bonehead. You're a scorekeeper in a marriage, and that makes you the bonehead. You're the bonehead. Now you know. Your rigid obsession with absolute balance is not normal and not healthy. If it happens once or is a rare occurrence, suck it up like the member of the team you are. If it becomes a practice, address it with discussion and problem solving, not in the heat of the moment. As an employer, it's not my job is the absolute last thing I want to hear from an employee, and I tell people during the interview process that if they have ever used that phrase, they are not a good fit. I can't imagine building a loving, lifelong romantic relationship on the cornerstone of that philosophy. Edit. People are really upset about my analogy, and apologies to OP for that. I did not intend to hijack the point of his thread. My small professional office requires flexibility and teamwork, but I am the opposite of the evil, penurious micromanager boss. What's with the obsession with 50-50? Are you serious? You guys got married, not colleagues that both of you get paid for your part of the work and hence you feel it's unfair. If once in a while you do 60-40 or vice versa, does it really matter? Isn't that how it's supposed to be? But if such unequal work distribution continues for every day, that's what we call taking advantage. Edit. Not the bonehead. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up, but I'll try to keep it as short as possible. My husband, 24 male, is visiting his family in Florida. I, 24 female, am visiting mine in Pennsylvania. I'm currently 20 weeks pregnant with my first child. The past few days, I was having pretty bad cramping, which I thought was just maybe Braxton Hicks or a round ligament pain, so I ignored it. Well, yesterday it started getting severely worse and there was blood in my urine. I waited a few hours, but when the pain didn't lighten up, I called my husband and informed him I was going to the ER. I was told it was a severe UTI on the verge of becoming a kidney infection, which was causing me to have contractions along with a fever. I texted my husband about 20 times while in the hospital and didn't get a response. After finally being discharged, I called him and he was absolutely drunk. Of course, I get angry at him, inform him that I'm angry, and say I don't want to speak to him tonight. Well, he decided to start messaging his family's group chat that I'm a part of, also a Discord server I talk to all my online friends in because I wasn't responding to his text messages. I'll copy a couple of the messages. He wrote, "I'm sorry I'm not ever allowed to drink. I came home to visit my family one time and drank once. I'm sorry I wanted to spend time with my family, once having fun. If you never want me to drink and spend time with my family, then I'll never talk to them again, but my dad died and I see them for the first time since, and you're mad that I drank with them once." He also wrote, "Okay, sorry I wanted to have a drink one time with my family after my dad passed. I'll never take a sip of alcohol again just for you." For reference, his dad passed 7 months ago. I've never told my husband he's not allowed to drink. I even encouraged him multiple times to go out with his family, and I made the plans for him to visit them. I immediately called him to try to mediate and calm him down to stop the embarrassment he was causing me, but instead his sister answers the phone. She goes on to tell me I need to learn to trust, that her and his family told him to stay off his phone and to relax and have fun, since it was his last night there, that I need to let past crap go, and told me I'm sensitive and dramatic due to being pregnant. And then he ignored me for the rest of the night. Now I just need to know, am I the bonehead in this situation? Edited to add, he was not drunk before I went to the hospital. I spoke with him on the phone prior. Now for some comments. He's treating you like crap. If my wife was in the ER for any reason, my butt would be there. I'd have left my family and gone straight to her. Yes, from 2,000 miles away. I've said this in quite a few posts before, and I'll probably say it a lot more in this sub. When you are married, here's the order of importance of people in your life. Yourself, your child, your spouse. everyone else on the planet. For him, number 2 and number 3 were in the ER and you're having contractions at 20 weeks? His and his family's response is pathetic. Not the bonehead. Edit based on OP's edit. That's even worse. He knows you're going into the ER and gets drunk rather than look for updates? Edit 2 to add based on OP's comment below. Now I'm furious on your behalf. You had a pregnancy terminated for non-viability in the past and he still reacts like this? Time for family therapy maybe. Therapy for him for sure. If he cannot come around and be supportive, then he needs to be the ex-husband. Not the bonehead, and he needs to learn the difference between having a drink and getting drunk. I'd also question the care of family that encouraged him to ignore his pregnant hospitalized spouse. A lot to unpack there. Not the bonehead, he's being manipulative using his dad's death to guilt trip you and playing to the gallery. It's noticeable that neither he nor his family show the slightest concern for the fact that you could have been losing his child. Not the bonehead. Interesting that there's some past crap that you apparently need to let go. Well, there's some current crap he's causing and probably some future crap he's going to deal you too. It sounds as though you told him you were bleeding and cramping, that you were going to the ER, and then he chose to turn off his phone and get drunk. He seemingly had no interest in how you were or whether his child was okay. This is unacceptable. He's already a father. He needs to step up now. I guess you need to have a long chat before this baby arrives whether he can step up or not. Tell him the future doesn't involve not drinking, but it will involve responsibilities, priorities, and care for each other. If he can't handle that now before the baby is born, how will he cope in a few months' time? What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you like these stories, please consider subscribing. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.